Kings and Queens, welcome to the opening show of the year that is 2023. And of course, welcome to the Stars and Stripes radio show, proudly brought to you by the U.S. Embassy in partnership with Gabs FM. Of course, hashtag America in Botswana. And we're going to have a great show today. We've got great guests. We're going to touch on the film industry. We're going to touch on wait. Let me find my bearings. The Ambassador's Special Self-Help Fund. Look out for that. We're going to be talking about grants. We're going to be talking about how you can apply for some of these opportunities. Proudly brought to you by the U.S. Embassy. Kings and Queens, Happy New Year. I hope and sincerely hope that you made it in good health, good spirits. And let me tell you something. Let's be hopeful that 2023 is going to be a good year. But hey, let me tell you something. Screw resolutions. Please build systems. Kings and Queens, good morning.
The Stars and Stripes show is brought to you by the U.S. Embassy.
All right, welcome to the Stars and Stripes radio show, proudly brought to you by the U.S. Embassy. Kings and Queens, let's start the show. And of course, the first show of 2023, and we're going to make it a huge one. We've got a jam-packed show with amazing guests in the building. To kick it off, we have Miss Dana Shaper in studio. And of course, Dana is the small grants coordinator for the U.S. Embassy Self-Help Fund program. How are you?
Great, Swift. Thank you so much for having me today. It's a privilege and an honor to be here, and compliments of the new year.
Fantastic. How was your holiday?
Wonderful.
Were you in Botswana, outside Botswana? Did you travel?
I was in Botswana, and then I did a little traveling after the holidays for a little New Year's treat.
Okay, within the country, outside the country?
Both, yes.
Oh, nice one. Well, thank you so much, and I trust that you're refreshed, your family's good, everybody's good.
Great.
Fantastic. Look, let's get straight into it. And it's an important conversation to have. But if I'm not mistaken, there is an annual grant that the U.S. Embassy provides opportunities for civic society, and a number of different beneficiaries. I don't think everybody knows of it. What is the Ambassador Self-Help Fund program? Tell us about it. Where did it start? Why should we care about it?
Wonderful. You summarized it quite perfectly. So, basically it's a program. We have many federal assistance programs in the embassy, but what makes this one unique is that it's a grassroots assistant program that provides grants for small development activities at the village level.
Okay.
It targets grants to assist small-scale, short-term, very community-driven projects that improve economic and social conditions, again, at the local level.
Okay. And when you say at the local level, let's talk about, and I'm going to digress, beneficiaries. Sometimes with these grants, who qualifies, who's eligible for these kind of grants? Because within the community ecosystem of Botswana, you have what is called the Village Development Committee. So those are the community leadership at a grassroots level, for example. And then obviously there's civic society. Civic society can go into religion, non-religious. Just walk us through some of the beneficiaries that can apply or eligible to apply for that particular grant.
Absolutely. Thank you for pointing that out. That's actually absolutely correct.
Yes.
It must be CBOs. It must be the village. I work mostly with village development committees. I work with the local groups. They must be registered.
Yes.
It can't be individuals, but it must be a registered group that has come together in the community to do an activity that will directly benefit the community.
Okay.
I can provide some examples.
Please do.
Some of those have been, and what makes this project and this program so wonderful and what inspires me the most is that we touch every area of Botswana.
Okay.
We have projects as far as Shagawe.
Nice.
To Machudi,
nice.
to Tolkling, to Kasani,
wow, nationwide,
to Matatani,
wow.
So nationwide, and that's why I'm especially grateful I'm here today, because I want to encourage, those groups and those communities to have this opportunity.
Absolutely.
With that being said, we have Matatani. There's a village development group committee there that they proposed a brick making project, and they have successfully implemented this, which is so wonderful.
Wow.
In Shakawe, there was a group that were trying to come up with a way that could benefit their community economically. And they had a project where they were recycling elephant dung into paper. And
You are joking.
No, it's just fabulous, and it's just impressive with how amazing and how creative and how determined these groups are. So exactly, community-based organizations.
Well done.
It has to be a group, not individual. So thank you.
Well, it's Gabs FM, power to engage your world. I got a caller, Gabs FM. Good morning. How are you? Amen, amen. Well, kings and queens, we're going to continue conversation. Sorry about that. And of course, I will share the front desk number. Now, in line, with grant writing, right? I happen to find that a psychologically intimidating process, and you're saying that there's a lot of VDCs nationwide, and please, a lot of community leadership need to pay attention to this particular show in terms of how to get access to these kind of grants that can improve your communities. I must say I'm very impressed with the brick making initiative. I think those things, because often VDCs struggle in terms of everyday operational capital, operational cost, and something that can garner and create that income stream for our communities is so important. Now, how does one apply to receive the grant? Is it a difficult process? And whether we like it or not, some members of our communities are not so learned. Some members of our communities don't have access to digital avenues, especially in the corners of rural Botswana. Just walk us through that particular component of, the grant application.
Sure. Thank you so much. And that is one of the things I'm most excited about sharing with you today. Okay. It is an annual program. You mentioned that before, but
yes.
It's also the application process. At first glance could look a little overwhelming, or maybe a lot overwhelming.
Yes.
And that's my role. And that's why I'm grateful to be here and that you have pointed that out.
Okay, great.
So there is a application process.
Yes.
We have something called a Notice of Funding Opportunity,
okay,
also known as a NOFO. That's the acronym for it. So the NOFO is actually the map for applying. It gives the instructions, exactly how to apply for the program with all the details. And like you mentioned, it could look a little overwhelming, but there are some very specific things required to apply. This NOFO is published each year. As a matter of fact, it will be published in February.
Okay.
And we publish it on several platforms. One of those platforms is a website called grants.gov.
Nice.
And you would be able to identify it as the Ambassador Special Self-Help Fund program in Botswana or Gaborone.
Okay.
And we also publish it on our website, the embassy website, and the social media. So I would first encourage, those who are interested in applying to watch out on those platforms. Now, there's an additional website email address that I think you're going to reiterate later in the show.
Absolutely.
That will provide some assistance if they get stuck, if they're concerned, if they're worried. That's me.
So yeah, that's the part. So you are saying that you basically can hold whoever's applying for the grant, you can hold their hands through email. Basically, they can email you and say, look, Section 3, I don't understand Section 3. What do you want me to, provide?
Precisely.
Okay.
And the other thing you mentioned, I just want to also reiterate, is that, the most sophisticated applications are not necessarily the ones that are selected. So when you mention that, some of your, those out in the communities are worried that it will not be professional enough.
Yes.
I most want to encourage those. I've seen handwritten applications that are the best projects. So please, please don't be discouraged, and please don't think that it has to be something that's perfection and has to be a professional submission.
Oh, well, it's Gabs FM, power to engage your world, and welcome to the show. Now, that email address is sshbotswana@state.gov. sshbotswana@state.gov. If you would like to apply for this particular grant, you can always email them and get assistance. And I'm sure through the email platform, you can also get a number that you can say, look, can we migrate the conversation directly to mobile? They can call you. You can engage with the U.S. Embassy. And, how much is this grant? Are you allowed to inform us, the ceiling of the grant, for example?
So the ceiling of the grant is at like $20,000.
Okay.
It's not a large amount of money, but
no, it's a huge amount of money.
But what's so beautiful is that,
yes.
Most of the grants are much less than that because
yes.
it really is to assist them to get their program really established and sustainable. And so, you will see, and as I talk and I'm happy to share more. I don't want to take the whole program today.
Okay.
I know you have some other guests, but, it is that there is a ceiling of 20,000. We typically, it averages around 7,000 per project. So, to 10,000,
Well, hold that call. Hopefully, Gabs FM, good morning. Hello.
Good morning. How are you?
Happy New Year. Complaining doesn't pay my bills. How are you?
I'm happy. I'm fine. Compliments.
Yes, talk to me, sweetheart.
I want to do something, which is like a restaurant.
Okay.
But an art-filled restaurant which does like cultural food as well as oven-baked pizza. And I think it will create employment. Will it be a viable project to do, or is too sophisticated for this type of grant, or what?
Okay, great question. Thank you so much. I'll allow her to answer you on air. Is that okay?
Yes, and kindly repeat the email address as well.
We'll do exactly that for you, okay?
All right, this is Kumar Isaac. Thank you for taking my call.
Thank you, Kumar Isaac. Have a fantastic...
Thank you.
Bye. Well, that's a question. Restaurant centered on art and creatives, creating employment for the community. Does that speak?
We want development. The key point here is it cannot be individuals.
Okay.
This has to be a very established group. They have to prove that they've been in existence and that, they have the support of the local officials, that it is something that's going to direct many members. So it can't be a project that an individual has, developed.
Yes.
So
it cannot be self-centered. It's more of social entrepreneurship, if I'm not mistaken.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, kings and queens, welcome to the Stars and Stripes radio show. Let me ask you this last question. You strike me as a passionate individual. Have you done this around Africa? Have you only been in Botswana? And what is it about this role? Whether we like it or not, your role is so important because I've seen this grant, and I'll be honest, I've never applied because my grant writing skills, I feel like, I'm not going to make it. So you've really, really clarified a lot of my psychological challenges when associated to grant writing, because whether we like it or not, some people think, no, I need to get the fancy stuff. I don't have this. So what is it that you love about your role?
So I do love this role. I have actually been fortunate enough to be a part of this program and manage it in other countries in Africa.
Nice.
And the thing that I love most about it is that I get to see the commitment and the determination of these villages and these communities that are so engaged and so eager to have an opportunity.
Wow.
And this program provides that. It's small, but it's so impactful. And, it just always makes me so proud and so honored when I get to see these successful projects impact these communities in such a beneficial way. And then personally, most important, I think I get to develop these relationships that are so lasting and just, the world is, we should just be one big family. And that's what I get from that. So
absolutely.
I love it. I love the program. I love the concept, and I love what it does for Botswana specifically because I'm here. here, and then other countries it does the same. So it's a wonderful program. Thank you.
And you know, I always say doing good. I do good for selfish reasons, for dopamine.
Yes.
It just makes me feel good if I've helped somebody else or done my part in any community, and I do it for just that dopamine, and say, look, I've helped so and so, and it makes me feel good. So that is another great benefit of doing good, and would like to encourage you to engage the U.S. Embassy on all social media platforms. Please engage the U.S. Let me tell you something. You can even engage the U.S. Embassy and call in and say, I've got a question. It doesn't have to necessarily be, you know, you want to talk about this particular grant, but just engage the U.S. Embassy on all their social media platforms. Now, that email address is sshbotswana@state.gov. sshbotswana@state.gov. And remember, the Notice of Funding Opportunities website, where you must keep it out address. I would like to encourage you to save this website, is www.grants.gov. Kings and Queens, we're going to hear from the horse's mouth. We're now transitioning into our partner spotlight, and we're going to hear from a gentleman called B from Elephant Heavens outside of Maum, who's directly is a beneficiary of this particular grant. So Kings and Queens, thank you so much. Any last words from you?
Just thank you, and you know, I hope that we get so many proposals and applications that, you know, that we will somehow manage to help everyone and fund them all. So
absolutely.
Please apply.
Absolutely. The VDCs, VDCs, especially community leadership, please apply for this grant. Follow the U.S. Embassy on all social media platforms. Community leaders, if you've got that idea and you've been benching it and the year that is 2023, shall I prophesy, it's your year to get it off the ground. Kings and Queens, look out for it. We've got DJ Kuchi alongside Mposi Bina's titled Toro. It's Gabs FM, Power to Engage. Yo, well, DJ Kuchi, he teams up with Mposi Bina's titled Toro. You know, whether we like it or not, this combination is a powerhouse. Shout out to DJ Kuchi. And of course, Mposi Bina, what a songstress, man. And we're wishing both of them nothing but the best. 11:24 is your time. And Kings and Queens, on the line, I am speaking to a direct beneficiary of this particular grant. And of course, a lot of people call him B, but his full name is B Poloko from Elephant Heavens. Mr. B, how are you?
I'm very fine. Thank you, Swift. Thank you for having me in your program.
Fantastic. You know, we call Maung Cape Town. You know, you're at the beach out there. Huh?
Absolutely. We are in the beach. The beach is actually very close to my neighborhood.
Hey, it's in your backyard, huh?
It's in my backyard.
Oh, moto. Now, look, B, let's talk. Someone is asking ourselves, Elephant Heavens, who are they? What does this organization do? I mean, we do know you're a direct beneficiary of this particular grant, but walk us through Elephant Heavens and what you do, what your organization does and its mandate.
Okay, thank you very much. Once again, Swift, my name is Boago Poloko. I go by B most of the time. And I'm one of the co-founders of Elephant Havens Wildlife Foundation.
Oh, nice.
Is, it's a non-profit making organization. It's a conservation trust, and our mission is to protect and preserve the African elephant through community outreach, habitat protection, research and information sharing, and of course, hand rearing of orphan baby elephants.
Wow.
With the mission to keep them at the nursery for 5 years. And after 5 years, then we move them to the next stage, which is the soft release area. This is where now there'll be zero human contact. They stay there for another period of 5 years so that they can learn to be more independent and they do things by themselves without the help of the elephant handlers.
Okay.
And yeah, we do a lot of community. We make sure our community benefits as well from all the donations we're getting. We've bought some school buses for Shorobe Primary School.
Nice.
We've donated 287 wheelchairs for the big hospital in Maun. And, we work with local farmers. We educate the young kids from schools. So, yeah, that's Elephant Havens. And we were registered at the end of 2018, and we actually started working early 2019. So we've been around for about 4 years.
Okay, let's deal with the elephant in the room, okay?
Yes, sir.
You know, obviously has been a global conversation around elephants and human interaction, how Botswana are living with, the elephant. It's an amazing mammal. We love it. It's a huge animal. Does Elephant Havens also, educate communities in terms of how to live, together with these amazing animals?
Absolutely. I mean, that's one of our biggest mandates, is to change the mindset in the communities. I'm sure you know the Maun area, or the northwest of Botswana, and the Chobe area has the largest population of elephants in Botswana.
Yes.
And obviously there's a huge human-elephant conflict. So, we educate farmers, we bring them for educational tours, we bring in school kids for educational tours, and we also make sure our farmers and our communities at large benefits from every donation that we raise. So, I mean, it's about changing the mindset and making sure our community benefits from their wildlife.
Fantastic. Look, you are a direct beneficiary of the Ambassador's Special Self-Help Fund, okay? Let's talk about your partnership with the U.S. Embassy and how it's assisted your organization, Elephant Havens, on the ground. I mean, you're a foot soldier on the ground. To walk us through the benefits of this particular grant. You qualified for it. You successfully went through the application process. Let's talk the impact.
Yes, sir. I'm very proud and very, and I'm happy to testify that we, as Elephant Havens, benefited from the Ambassador Special Self-Help grant, which we were granted for $13,600, which is equivalent to 158,940 pula, which was directly for building up the fence for the soft release area, where we are going to be moving our orphaned elephants. And actually, we've got 3 elephants in that area at the moment. We've got 4 more elephants moving end of January now.
Nice.
Area. So I'm very happy, very appreciative that we're quite lucky enough to qualify for this grant.
Well done. And look, Botswana already there from all sectors of the country. One thing that you've outlined is that this grant allowed you to build infrastructure in a community. And of course, that's an important component of what some of our communities require. What advice would you give to a Motswana who's listening, a community member who's listening and saying, look, I'd like to apply for this grant. I don't know how. Was it a difficult process? Was it smooth? What kind of advice would you give somebody who would like to apply for this particular grant?
Okay. The thing is, we've got brilliant young Botswanas out there. We've got Botswana that are running NGOs and brilliant ideas. And the form itself to fill for the grant can be a little overwhelming. But what I guarantee is, Dinah is brilliant.
Yes.
She is always there 24/7.
She's got a Colgate smile in the studio right now.
She is just an angel. She will walk you through the form. You send her WhatsApp and email, or you give her a call to assist you on the form, and she responds within a blink of an eye.
Wow.
So, I'll encourage young Botswanas who are out there willing to apply for this grant to it's an opportunity. Let's all make use out of it, and make sure we benefit for our organizations and make our community a better place for all of us to live in it.
Fantastic. Let me give you this opportunity to share your parting statements. Definitely. My kids call the Maung area the jungle, too much Netflix and YouTube. And, one thing that I definitely would like to bring them out there, just to see the importance of understanding our environment. I mean, you're also playing in the climate change space. You're playing such a huge role in the north, because whether we like it or not, we love these elephants. We need to learn to live with them, and of course educate our people in terms of how best to live with them. What would be your parting statement?
Well, I mean, like I said earlier, it's about changing the mindset. Elephant Havens is here to assist the communities and to also assist our elephants. I mean, we, as the country, we carry the largest population of elephants, more than anywhere in the world. And we would like to still be proud in the next 50, 100 years to still say we carry the largest population of elephants more than anywhere in the world. So I think we need to connect, hold hands and work together as communities or local communities, wildlife and international communities, so that we can all help each other and make this place a better place for our wildlife and, of course, our communities.
Let's talk social media. Do you have any social media platforms that we can engage Elephant Havens?
Yes, sir. Our website is www.elephanthavens.org, and we are on Facebook. We go by Elephant Havens. We are on Instagram. We go by Elephant Havens. We are also on YouTube. We still go by Elephant Havens.
Let me tell you something. I'm coming, my brother. I am definitely coming. Congratulations. And we'd like to sincerely thank the U.S. Embassy on your behalf. The work that you're doing in line with conservation is such an important, space to play in. And of course, you're doing a great job. Well done, well done, well done. Thank you so much for taking our call.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you to the U.S. Embassy as well, to Diana. I mean, she is an amazing person. She won't rest until you get what you want or how she wants to help you. So please, young Botswanas, reach out to the U.S. Embassy. Everything is online. You don't need to go to the embassy.
I like that.
You apply online. You talk to them via emails.
Okay.
So it makes your life easy. Thank you very much for having me.
Sorry, just hold the line. Let me take a call. Gabs FM, good morning. How are you?
Good morning.
Fantastic. How are you? Today I got lots of women on the show. I'm so happy.
I hope I managed to call at the right time.
Yes.
I was calling to inquire about the U.S. Embassy, the service grant.
Yes, you're live on air and you have the right people listening to you.
Okay, great.
Yes.
I was particularly interested in knowing the number of people who are actively involved in the grant.
Okay.
I heard on the show that there has to be a group of people. It's not supposed to be centered around an individual.
I like that.
So I wanted
Great
to
question.
know the number of people who has to be actively involved in the project. Is there an age limit?
No, you qualify. You qualify. Don't worry, okay?
Oh, okay.
All right.
Then I also wanted to know, I heard that you mentioned something to do with the VDC.
Yes.
Is it mandatory that we get the approval from the VDC and stuff like that?
All right. Great questions. We'll answer you on air, okay?
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you so much. I think, Dana, that's for you to answer.
Yes. In the instructions, in the NOFO or the Notice of Funding Opportunity, there are very specific requirements. And one of those, and, I will say that I encourage them to look at that so they can see the details. They have to be registered. And they do have to have the approval of the correct official, whether it be the district commissioner, whether it be, the VDC.
Yes.
There does have to be approval from that entity and that group.
So, for example, if you're doing a project in Marapong, you'd like to get the VDC's endorsement in writing of some sort.
Absolutely.
Okay, great.
And as far as a specific number of people,
yes,
the better chances are for being selected are if you have a large group that will benefit from it.
Okay. So beneficiaries.
Correct.
Okay, great. Mr. B, we had you on the line. Thank you so much, my brother. We're going to definitely follow you on all social media platforms. Shout out to you and definitely wishing you nothing but the best in the year that is 2023.
Thank you very much, Swift, and thank you to the U.S. Embassy in China.
All right, fantastic. Have a great day.
Likewise. Bye-bye.
Well, I'm really, really enjoying the show. We're not even done. We're now going to get, and we're speaking to some great creatives in the building. We're going to be talking the film industry. And let me tell you something. Film is such an important component of our lives. Storytelling is part and parcel of who we are as global citizens. And it's something that I think it's an art form that must be taught in every sector of the education system, because how kwala proposal, your storytelling. When you package any business or product, your storytelling. So storytelling is part and parcel of who we are. Look out for it. But before we do that, we're going to cross over into the next segment called Ask the Charge. This is where we ask the acting ambassador all the burning questions that you would like to ask the U.S. Embassy. And of course, Her Excellency Amanda Jacobson, this is the question that you had for her. What most do you like about Botswana culture? And this is what she had to say.
Ooh, that's a tough question because there's a lot of things that I love about Botswana culture. So throughout my 4.5 years of living in Botswana, I've had the incredible opportunity to visit many different areas of the country, from the Okavango Delta to the Kalahari Desert. What I really appreciate is Botswana's emphasis on nature and preserving Botswana's incredibly diverse natural beauty for future generations, and ensuring that sustainable community resource management so people and wildlife can live in peaceful coexistence. I really love the culture of singing the Botswana national anthem before community and national events, and the tradition of showcasing local song and dance.
Wow, thank you so much, Amanda, and wishing you nothing but a happy New Year. Kings and Queens, 11:37 is your time, and of course you're on the Stars and Stripes radio show, proudly brought to you by the U.S. Embassy in partnership with Gabs FM, hashtag America in Botswana. And ladies and gentlemen, Kings and Queens, we've got a very special guest in the house, two special guests. His name is Denham Richards, and you may recognize his voice from the American hit TV show Yellowstone. He's an actor, runs a studio here in Botswana. He's a creative entrepreneur. Mr. Denham, what's good, family?
Thanks for having me, brother.
Fantastic. I love the voice, man. Yeah, somebody called in 3956962. I'm sure they share the sentiments. And of course, you're sitting next to a good friend of mine. He goes by the name Jaime Bansi, otherwise known as Zeus. This man is also a creative entrepreneur. He's a musician. He's somebody who lives, breathes creativity. And of course, he's part and parcel of the film industry. He bagged a great documentary on climate change. What up, my brother? How are you?
I'm good. Thank you so much for having me on this platform again.
It's always a pleasure to have you.
Great to finally meet Denham.
Yes.
Yeah, it's exciting to be here. Looking forward to it.
And synergy.
100%.
Absolutely. Look, Denham, let's start with you. You know, film. You know, film is, I think we must never underestimate the art of or the craft of film.
100%.
Even from a national point of view. You know, during lockdown, I was reading about just film tourism. I've never been to New York, but I really want to go to New York just because of the movies I've watched,
right.
You know, and that is the power of storytelling. You have a ton of experience from the United States in the film industry. You've been in Botswana for a couple of months or years, and you know, with Yellowstone film, what's your takeaway from what is available for the public in the United States here in Botswana? Are our stories international standards? Can we retell those stories to an American audience?
Yeah, 100%. It's a great question. I think I've been in Botswana 2.5 years.
Nice.
So what I think in 4 months, it'll be my 3-year mark.
Nice.
But yeah, I think it's really important for us to understand that it's not like playing. Like, the entertainment world is not just like a bunch of adults that never wanted to grow up. It's a $1 trillion business almost. It's a $837 billion a year business. Jeez. And so for any economy, if you get 5% of that, you're doing pretty well for yourself.
Absolutely.
And there's a big bridge between television, film, and tourism.
Yes.
And here in Botswana, it has vast landscapes. Obviously, we're talking about like Maum, Kasane.
Yes.
Places that people from all around the world need to see. But our Bantu stories need to be told, and there's a way that we can tell these stories in a way that is internationally based. And we need those. And I think something that everyone saw over lockdown was everyone pretty much watched everything that there was to watch on Netflix and, you know, Amazon Prime, Roku, all of these other places. And I think now a lot of these different areas are looking for original content. And I think that our Bantu stories are really going to do some amazing things internationally.
I love that. Zeus, let me bring you into this conversation. You've been in the film industry. What has been your challenges on the ground in terms of, you know, I don't know, I could be wrong, but creating that bridge into the American audience? What's been your experience? I know you've been on the documentary side, but outside of that, you've done music videos, you've done so much with the lens. Talk to me.
You know, it's there's so much to try and bring into the conversation, but you know, a lot of it starts with a process. You know, and I think one of the things we must always appreciate is the history of a lot of industries that we look up to. You know, I always say we must keep it in mind that Hollywood is older than our republic. You know, and then when you see the cultures, even international cultures that have emerged, you know, the South Koreas, they have such a long history that a lot of people aren't aware of, you know, so there has to be a conscious effort to build that, starting with academia.
Yeah.
You know, we really need professionals to come through industry that are trained, and that's one thing that I must applaud the Botswana ecosystem for trying to up over the recent years, you know, from traditional institutions like the UB to newer ones like Limco, you know, after later on, which turned to AWIL, you know, so you're seeing more and more professionals come into the game. But beyond all of that, there has to be a culture of appreciation for what the value of the product is, like you were saying. You know, if you don't have a sense of what the medium does say for national culture.
Yes.
You know,
cultural heritage.
Yes, for us building shared vision, you know, shared values, certain things that will help us, you know, mobilize. I always say a lot of the interventions we're trying to put out there, we're not really ready for, you know, and a lot of it is a culturalization issue, which film is powerful for.
Absolutely.
The same with even just basic information dissemination. You know, documentary for me is very powerful because it's one of the most accessible formats. And that's what I found after postgrad, that coming into our landscape, it's very hard to try find investment, for instance, for a big motion picture, you know, feature film. Geez, it's hard to even get financing for a short film, you know, because we still don't quite maybe understand the value of that side of the art, you know, although it is growing, you know. So I think that there has to be an appreciation for all of these things and a development of them.
Denham, let me bring you into this conversation. I've had the opportunity to interview a lot of creatives just by the fact I'm a radio broadcaster. And I often see a gap between understanding the business of film, the distribution platforms, and creativity. You know, yes, creativity is you can't put a budget on creativity. You know what I'm saying? But obviously from a business perspective, you've got to say, okay, what is this particular product going to do in terms of return on investment? If I take money from Swift, and how am I going to pay back? Just walk us through the business, because I find it that a lot of creatives in Botswana tell great stories. I've read a couple of scripts. The stories are there. Now transitioning then into a fully fledged and understanding the business of the industry. Just walk us through some of the things that you've noticed in your 2 years on the ground.
You know, it's a great question. Also, just to add to the point, that's one of the things. So Kumo Studios is our studio here. And we're also having a bridge to that called Kumo Conservatory, where we are teaching not only the acting, but producing, and television and film distribution. And that's one of my biggest focuses, is the entertainment aspect of it in the business.
Yes.
It is a business first. I grew up as an entertainer. But if you want to make money, you got to know the business of it. You got to just do more than just be good at what you do. And so one of the most important things that you have to understand is everywhere we go in Africa, everybody wants their stuff to be seen internationally, right? They all feel as though their stuff is ready to be seen internationally. But we're not even shooting on international equipment. So one of the things that we don't understand, and we need to overstand at this point, is even for something like a Netflix, an Amazon Prime, these bigger distribution hubs that everybody wants to be on, they have a standard in which you have to shoot on. For an example, your standard to get on a Netflix is 4K. Where most people are shooting on 1080. So even if you have the best product, the best script, the best actors, you're not even going to look at it. You're not shooting on the appropriate equipment. So you have to make sure that you're shooting on the right equipment, number one. And number two, you have to look at what the world is right now. There's sometimes that there are projects that you may love right now, but the world is not in a space for that. There's been no less than 100 different Hollywood movies that have taken over a decade in order for them to come out from the time the script has been done, but they couldn't release it because the world wasn't ready for it yet. So that doesn't mean that all of our stories have to wait 10 years to be able to do, but these are some important
consumer
things.
Behavior.
Number two, or number three, I would say you have to really look at what your budget is. A lot of people sit there and they go, we need millions and millions. You don't necessarily always need millions and millions. You just need people that understand how to distribute money properly and to put it in the right areas. Then once you are able to have a right script, make sure that you have the appropriate camera equipment. Then you can go and you can engage these people and say, hey, I need X amount of money. Now, let's say nobody here can have access to being able to go to somebody and say, give me $5 million, right, for a project that I'm doing. It's really, really easy now to be able to at least meet other people that have camera equipment and say, let's shoot something and let's get it on something, right? We maybe not ready to go right to a Netflix right now, but we can get it on something.
Yeah.
Once you get on something, so I would respectfully suggest to everybody, would you rather have 50% of something or 100% of nothing?
Yeah.
Because you'll go and you'll get an offer and you'll be like, but I feel like it's worth more. Yeah. Well, your project is only worth whatever somebody's willing to pay for it. So you kind of have to drop a little bit of the ego when it comes to the project. And for us, one of my partners says something really, really brilliantly. He always says, is this the best that your project is ever going to be? Is this the best idea you'll ever have? Because if it's the best idea that you'll ever have, hold on to it. But if you think that you're going to have better ideas, bro, let it go. Just go get some money, build the cachet, start to learn. Then you can start being concerned about how do I get a better ROI? Because you really don't need to worry about an ROI when you're engaging multiple people.
Yeah.
Right now, just get your stuff out there. And then once your stuff is out there, you start to get your name out there. You start to get your production out there. Now you start to build leverage. And now when you build leverage, now more people are going to sit there and go, we want to invest in your type of projects.
Let me ask you this in terms of some of your work you've done. How important is basic money management?
Oh my gosh.
Basic money management. Let's say you're shooting something and you have a budget of 300,000 pula.
Yeah.
You know, it might not be a lot of money,
right,
but you've got to squeeze pula for the absolute most that you can get.
Yeah.
And, you know, often creatives and our relationship with financial literacy can be a pothole that doesn't allow you to get over the line.
It's a downfall, right? Yeah. You know, I always say, I was actually telling this story last night. When I was in my early 20s, I booked my first national commercial, and I didn't grow up with any financial education. This national commercial was like 15,000 US, so it's like around 170,000 pula, and I blew all of it in like 4 months, right? Didn't know anything about it. And then as I got older, I really appreciated that. Sometimes because a lot of people are struggling, and especially in the creative arts, everyone's very hungry, and they're looking at all the struggle. So the moment that you get a little bit of money, you're ready to eat good, right? You don't want to struggle anymore. You almost want to make up for all the times that you have been struggling. But you absolutely have to have the right people running the money. It is not a get-rich-quick scheme, right? It is a long burn. It's a quest. And so the goal should always be for every producer, for every artist, the moment that you get money, roll that into another opportunity. But there are a lot of people here in Botswana, some in Zambia and SA, that they get maybe a grant, they get a little bit of money, then all of a sudden they don't have the money anymore, and they got all the actors to come work for free, and they do it. And you can ask all the actors that come and work for Kumo Studios, everyone gets paid in time and on time.
Hello.
This is just how it works. So we really just need to kind of raise the standard, but that's something that Kumo Studios is also wanting to do as well, is really to teach that financial education, especially when it comes to the producers, that guys, this is not, you can't just get a little bit of money and then everybody eats good and then think that we're ever going to have an industry. Otherwise, we're just going to have a Ponzi scheme.
Let me bring you into the conversation. I mean, you're a beneficiary of a grant. You've done a documentary on climate change with the U.S. Embassy. Money management, because you know, my understanding of this, it can really affect even the creativity and the quality of what you're doing. Walk us through
Listen,
that.
you know, I think I have to say, I speak from a standpoint of wearing both hats. You know, like I believe strongly in the creativity of it, you know, in creating good art, or, you know, whatever your focus is, without always being boggled down by business. But at the same time, I am a business graduate. That's what I studied in undergrad. You know, and it's important for me to be able to be both, you know. The classic thing we like to say is suits, right? Like, you know, the reality of our industry here is we can't afford to divorce ourselves from the role of the suit. I say this with some caution, because we all can't be everything, right? You're lucky if you're able to maybe produce, write, direct, right? I mean, most people will have some combination, cinematographer, editor, you know, it makes you better.
Yes.
But in an ideal ecosystem, we must have all of these different people playing their parts. And that's what makes the creative industry so lucrative as a potential employer, as something powerful for social development, especially if we're thinking how it's driven by youth.
Can I add to that? Though?
Yeah.
Can I just say that this is the only medium in the world that can employ everyone?
Exactly.
You don't need a college education. There's trade, there's construction, there's all these. So to add to that, yes.
So this incredible value chain must be exactly that. I mean, the phrase production values comes directly from exactly what we're talking about in terms of, are we giving the product everything that it needs, everyone that it needs, and shortchanging it, like he's saying, which has become the way of our kind of parasitic approach.
Yes.
And again, this comes from, if going back to process, how we've set things up. If you're not commissioning, for instance, right, which has been the case from our state broadcaster. Sometimes I don't even want to say public broadcaster, because there's a difference between those things. You know, if you're not commissioning, you're not giving productions the right kind of budgets they need. If we're going unsolicited content tendering, you know, we're literally locking our values down to those not so great rates. I mean, I've literally shared some of those rates with some of our regional counterparts. You know, South Africa's way ahead, and they're shocked a lot of times. And I know there's a lot of market dynamics to it, you know. But I wanted to go back to something which he said, which you touched on as well, around local versus global.
Yes.
You know, glocal, right? That's the catchphrase of bringing all the stuff together. The partnerships are so important, right? And the access, you know, because like you mentioned, we have these wonderful stories, great storytellers and everything. But do they have access to the right spaces? And when I say access, it doesn't just mean internationally. Starting locally, do we have access to our own TV stations, to our own cinemas? Do we have cinemas enough? Do we have enough TV stations? Do we have enough film festivals? All of these things are important in building the kind of body of work we need, you know. But on that appeal level, I found it very interesting that I had the opportunity recently to go to the US Africa Leaders Summit, you know, and I thank IREX, the Mandela Washington Fellowship alum team, US Embassy Botswana, for the opportunity for that, because it was so in line with the kind of things that we've been trying to build towards. And when it comes to bringing the ecosystem together, you know, it's matchups like this that I've been saying for a long time are important. It's not just about heads of state meeting. You know, it should be about bringing in other ecosystem players, from investment to creative development, you know, to peers. You know, Strive spoke one time about how we need to start networking and engaging more with our peers instead of always thinking up, right? So I think if we can get all these things right, it'll be, you know, a really powerful impact of it all. The bottom line of the Netflix story, by the way, was that the executive who was in charge of local stories said to us, you know, one of the most important things for us to do is to tell local stories. You know, make it as local as possible. Don't always be thinking about the globe. And she gave a great example, saying how Squid Game wasn't made for us. It was made for Asian audiences.
You can't get yourself trapped with those things. But I'll also say I'm very candid about the approach to certain things, and ego is a big player. I think that a lot of people want to do everything. You meet people, they say, I'm a director, I'm a writer, I'm an actor, I'm a producer. I also do cars, I've cleaned, you know, I eat, you know, it's like, bro, you can't do everything, right? What do you do well? You know, and so you have to get people that are willing to do one thing and just do that one thing well. And that's the way that an ecosystem works, right?
Let me ask you this, and we're fast running out of time. 11:55 is your time. Let me ask you this as we wrap up. Distribution channels. Everybody wants to get to Netflix. But there are so many other platforms. You've had an experience of the best of both worlds. Regionally, you in Zambia, South Africa, etc. What other distribution platforms are there, and what advice would you give to a young filmmaker who's got a small budget of a 50,000 pula or 100,000 pula and says, look, I want to put together something short and sweet. What distribution platforms are there available that, in your experience thus far?
Well, first I'd say then come to Kumo Studios. Let's talk. But There are some, and you have to start looking outside. Obviously if people go to like DSTV's website, DSTV is doing a lot of different things. Obviously, like, Showmax, they're doing a lot of things. And again, if it's your first project and it's the first time that you're doing something, again, this is not your opportunity to get fat and high off the hog, right? This is something to get yourself out there. So I would definitely make sure that you do your research, look outside of just Botswana, because we're still building the ecosystem here in Botswana. But yes, Zambia is doing a lot of very big things. Obviously, South Africa has kind of been leading the charge. Obviously, everyone knows about Nigeria. But I think that there are some distribution chains that you can be looking at, that doesn't take much. It's just about, you got to actually like get involved in it a little bit more. And you can't just wait for, essentially the heads upstairs to be able to give you something in order to do it. So, I would say you have to continue to do your research, learn, but I would also go to like DSTV. Showmax is doing some things. They're always looking for submissions and things of that nature. But also, like I said, come to Kumo and we'll have a conversation.
All right. Well, fast run out of time. I can give you 30 seconds.
I just wanted to answer that question. In terms of piloting is very important. Do something. I love what he said when he said do something. It's important for us to not just sit and wait for big budgets to make big features. Do that 5-minute short. Do that 30-second short. You know what I mean? Like, put it together. The technology has diffused and it's more available than ever. Some of you are walking around with iPhones but not really using them to their capacity. So do that. And then pitch broadcasters. I still believe, as much as there's the wave around streaming, traditional broadcasters are still there. If I speak about the climate change docuseries, for instance, we reached out. We wish we were commissioned, but if you're not gonna get that, reach out and find out what different deal options are there for you. Because hey, you might have somebody who was able to take care of the production costs like we did with US Embassy, and it allowed us to give the channel a free program, which obviously excites them, gives them additional value. So find out what's there. I just wanted to say as well in closing,
I can only give you 5 seconds.
The perspective of stories, right?
Yes.
When you were speaking to the beneficiary in Maun, and you're talking human-wildlife conflict, if you remember early on in that story, the international coverage around it, the people were missing. Our communities were missing. And these are some of those international stories which I feel like it's very, very important for us as African filmmakers to own, right? And put our people also into the conversation so that it's not just about elephants, right?
Absolutely. I gotta cut you off. Gentlemen, I think, Aisha, we gotta do another one with just these two gentlemen, because whether we like it or not, there's so much that we didn't touch on. There's so much that, and even right up to office of the president, we know that the creative sector is one of the top priorities. So gentlemen, forgive me, I also had to cut out a segment called Chasing the Dream, but listen now. Have you started your AEIF 2023 application? Well, let me tell you, you've got 9 days to go. The U.S. Embassy in Gaborone announces an open competition for past participants, alumni of the U.S. government funded and U.S. government sponsored exchange programs to submit applications to the 2023 Alumni Engagement Innovation Fund. We seek proposal from teams of at least 2 alumni. So you find another alumni, and of course you team up that meet all the program eligibility requirements below. Exchange alumni interested in participating in the AEIF 2023 should submit proposals to Gaborone Grants at state.gov. Gaborone Grants at state.gov by 11:59 on Sunday, January 15th, 2023. Please feel free to follow them on all their social media platforms. Kings and Queens, this is the Stars and Stripes radio show. We ran out of time so quickly, but hey, there's a lot to talk about. Shout out to Kumo Studios. Where can we find you? Someone wants to engage you somewhere.
info@diy.co.bw on social media. Zeus Deuce Africa. That's on Twitter, Instagram. LinkedIn as well. You can find Do It Yourself Entertainment as well on LinkedIn.
Okay, do we have new music coming?
Yes, there's a whole new album. It really should have been out already, but there were delays with TuneCore around the text of the cover not being the same as whatever.
Okay.
So yeah, I'm literally hoping in a matter of days I'll surprise you with the album.
Okay, I'm breaking some rules. Denim, last words.
Sorry, last plug, ZeusDeuce.com. That's the website.
Oh, shout out. Last words, Kumo Studios. Somebody's like, I'm a creative.
Yeah.
I'm looking for internship. I want to engage Kumo. Where can we find you? How do we engage?
Everyone can go to www.kumostudios.co.bw.
Nice. You guys are serious people.
Yeah, we don't play. We're serious, raise the standard.
Yes.
And then it's the social media is Kumo Studios, and then Instagrams we are Kumo Studios, and then if it's me personally, it's at Denim Richards on everything.
Okay, all right, guys, gentlemen, thank you so much. I'm definitely going to engage the U.S. Embassy of how we can have a 1-hour feature just around the creative industry, what both of you are doing, how we can team up. Because over lockdown, I read about Games of Thrones in New Zealand.
Yeah.
And how the tourism sector opened up a whole wing just around Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, like what you alluded to, we've got great sunsets in this country.
Yeah.
We've got great locations in this country.
Yeah.
And it's time for us to workshop with Denim, with Zeus, with Botswana Tourism, with
Commission, Botswana Arts Council.
And bring everybody together at one table and say, look, we want to brand this country internationally, our diamonds.
I have to interject. Look at Namibia, right next door to us. The likes of Mad Max.
Yes.
Huge blockbusters. And if you see how much they bring into your economy, right? And obviously, if you're passing on skills, that's more of a chance to have more of your stories go out as well.
Here's the reality. In the U.S., we shoot on a budget for Yellowstone is $18 million an episode. Okay.
Yeah.
In the area that we shoot in, they make almost over $20 million.
You're joking, homie.
Annually just by our show being there. So, and this is in a small, very, very small community. So television and film is literally $837 billion annual business.
Content is king.
You absolutely have to get involved in that. This is how you make money.
Yeah.
So, thank you.
By default, the prolific Pansola is definitely in the film industry. I've got two. And, whether we like it or not, this is what the U.S. Embassy does. It creates synergy. It creates collaboration. And that's what it's all about. The bilateral relationship between the U.S. government and Botswana is essentially collaboration. And this is how we're going to birth a great thing. And I can feel it between the two of you. I can feel it between myself and a lot more. This year, we can learn from each other. Iron sharpens iron 100%. And definitely take it to another level. Are you in country for a while?
Yeah, I'll be here. Yeah, I'll be here for the next 4 or 5 months.
Oh, nice. So definitely, I know my boy Zeus Deuce, definitely we're going to collaborate. We're going to do something.
Thank you for your appearance on the show, by the way, in the docuseries.
Anytime, my brother.
Yes.
See?
One thing for South Park, all the way.
I can't do everything.
Yeah, but it sounds like it.
Kings and Queens, it's the Stars and Stripes radio show, proudly brought to you by the U.S. Embassy in partnership with Gabs FM America in Botswana. And we stole 4 minutes of your time. But hey, great content. Guys, the moral of the story is 1, collaborate. 1, learn your craft.
Yes.
Study your craft. It's an international opportunity for us all. Good afternoon.
The Stars and Stripes show was brought to you by the U.S. Embassy.